What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good morning. How you doing? How you doing? It is Wednesday. Wednesday. That's how I remember how to spell it properly because I'm an illiterate guy. February 4th, 2026. Oh, boys and girls. Subscribe to the channel, if not for the very least. Do y'all realize there is nothing to talk about? I mean, there is absolutely nothing to talk about. Nothing good anyway. I'm not going to sit here and talk to you guys about the Pro Bowl games. That's not going to happen. And anything that is going on of news has already been discussed. Okay, I'm not going to continue to talk about coaching moves that we've already discussed ad nauseum. And we're not quite ready for mock draft time yet, though we would like to eventually get there. We're saving all of that for Monday morning. But, you know, we do... The show must go on, as they say. But here we are. And for our national news segment... Look, the whole show is going to be focused around the Lions, but the Lions fan files $100 million lawsuit after DK Metcalf clash, denies racial slur. Ryan Kennedy, Michigan resident and Lions fan, also named the Steelers and Ford Field in the suit. And, I'm so surprised. I didn't see this coming literally as it was happening. I mean, we all seen this was coming right now. I get the move, you know. It's kind of a big ask thing, but to name the Steelers and Ford Field, I mean, bro, getting a wee bit greedy on that one. If you look, that's just my opinion. I'm the guy that lives inside of your cell phone that you listen to at 10 in the morning. Talk about Lions and the NFL. Then we're gonna kick it on over. We're gonna talk about the Detroit Lions. One schematic change the Lions defense could make in 2026. The Lions could consider a defensive scheme change. Vito over at SI.com has an interesting little something. It's going to be a lot of thought exercises. All right, the next few months. This is going to be a lot of hemming and hawing and thinking it over. A lot of seeing and wishing and hoping and figuring things out as the offseason progresses and we see what's going on. And then we're going to go and say, obviously, if we're going to A to Z Sports, we're going to stop by Mike the Slipper Payton. Detroit Lions mailbag. The two most realistic free agents the Lions could sign, among other questions. Answering all of your Lions questions. I did, full disclosure, I did skim this, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So... Dude, my cats are so weird. So we will skim through and see what Mike the Slipper Payton has for us at A to Z Sports as far as people, personnel, and off-season questions that some of the fandom has asked Mike Payton. And I kind of liked it. Again, it's the off-season. We're kind of chatting it up here at Chattin' Beard. And then finally, 5 free agents Mike Kafka coached who could interest the Lions. Who could the Lions bring in with ties to the new offensive assistant? We will see. Some are, Christian Boer. I get where your head's at with some of them, but the reality is these are just names. These are just names, and not. Do you guys really think we're going to sign or need Wan'Dale Robinson? We need to spend money elsewhere. So, yeah, clearly, kind of letting the cat out of the bag on one of the names, but I'm pretty sure you guys could have connected the dots before we got to that article. Before we get into the show, though, would you do me a solid, considering all of the nitty-gritty digging? I have to wear a little mining hat. I got a pickaxe over there, and my boots are sitting on the back porch because I couldn't wear them in the house. They were still muddy with all of the mining I've had to do to find these stories in this arc of just filler material. It is just, it's the off season. It's the slog, and we're getting through it one day at a time. You guys are here to do it with me. So, considering all the hard work that I have to do, could you subscribe to the channel if you're new here? Ring the notification bell so you can be notified every single time we go live Monday through Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here at youtube.com. With plans to expand next week over to trying to Rumble. Maybe try to Rumble a little bit, see what Rumble can do. Maybe do a little kick action. I don't know. We'll see what's popping off. Need to expand the brand. Got to expand the brand. Got to make more dollary dues so that I can buy a house. That's the long and short of it. And then obviously like this video, share it around with every single person that you've ever encountered. Go ahead and just like share it with people that you meet with. When you meet them, be like, hey, what's up? You should subscribe to Hat and Beard, the largest, fastest growing NFL and Detroit Lions content creation station, broadcasting exclusively from Grandma Studio One in the 10 a.m. hour. Let's get on the bandwagon, boys and girls. Now that all that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the show.
If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and go out on the attack.
Oh, you like my General Sow. I'm going to give it to you now. Lions fan files $100 million lawsuit after DK Metcalf clash denies racial slurs. Let's see what Fox News has for us. Over here, Ryan Kennedy, a Michigan resident and self-described Detroit Lions fan, is taking legal action following a December altercation with Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver DK Metcalf at Ford Field. Look, I don't know, man. Not shaping up well. A self-described Detroit Lions fan. Do other people describe him as not a Lions fan? That just seems kind of weird. A self-described Detroit Lions fan. Everybody else knows that he's clearly a Cleveland Browns fan. Like, what the fuck, dude? That just kind of, I don't know, man. Kennedy and his legal team held a news conference in Farmington Hills, Michigan on December 26th. On Tuesday, attorneys representing Kennedy announced that a lawsuit had been filed in Wayne County Court. The lawsuit seeks $100 million in damages. $100 billion in damages stemming from the December 21st incident, and names DK Metcalf, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Ford Field, the Lions' longtime home stadium. Now, I'm going to be very honest, guys. This is the art of the deal. All right? It's called the Big Ask. We're going to name everybody. We're going to cast a big, wide net, and we're going to ask for all the money. Big ask. Some might say too much. Some might say too much. But with the big ask, we can retract. You guys know he's going to settle for like 20 mil. You know he's going to settle, right? And Ford Field will be removed from the lawsuit. They will appease him with some lifetime package ticket deal or something like that. Pittsburgh will probably fade into the back end of this. I don't understand how the Steelers organization can be held accountable. I guess it depends on the nature of the NFL Players Association, but when you're starting to get into the legality of the team's responsibility of the individual player. Well, then you have to, the NFL Players Association has to get involved because it's going to get really muddy. So I would imagine when it all is said and done, DK Metcalf apologizes. He writes a check. Ford Field probably contributes a little bit. Steelers contribute a little bit. NFL he's going to get out of it with about 20 mil. He's probably going to make out of here with about 20 mil of the 100 million that he's asked for. Former NFL player Chad Ochocinco, Ford Field management, and multiple media platforms were also listed in the lawsuit, alleging that they played a role in making defamatory and life-altering statements against Kennedy in the aftermath of the incident. Again, I don't know about Ford Field. Look, defamation is a very, 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 very hard suit to win. I mean, there are defamation laws on the books. Damn, this tiger balm is getting cold on my shoulder. Holy crappers, fellas. I am like borderline shivering over here now. Defamation lawsuits are really hard to win. However, in the age of the internet, it does lean a little bit more to people a little bit more loose-lipped. And Chad Johnson did kind of parrot the narrative. Again, I don't know what Ford Field has to do with any of it. But we are casting a real wide net here. And I mean, just look, I knew he was going to go for the payday. I'm actually surprised he waited this long. I thought it was going to happen before the regular season ended, if we're being honest. But probably waited to find the exact right attorney, wanted to know exactly what kind of dollary dues he was looking at. I don't know, man. The filing outlines 9 counts, including negligence against Ford Field, multiple defamation claims against Metcalf, Johnson, and former NFL tight end Shannon Sharp's Shay Media. Good Lord. During the first half of the Lions game, yes, okay, we know what happened. On the episode of Shay Media's Nightcap podcast released the day after the incident, co-host Chad Ochocinco Johnson said Metcalf told him Kennedy directed a racial slur at the Steelers receiver and used a derogatory term towards Metcalf's mother. Kennedy denies using any slurs as a December press conference, a claim reiterated in the lawsuit. Now, I don't know. I don't know if anything was said, but if things weren't said, what we're seeing here is just the desperate cries of someone who still thinks that they can play the race card. I'm not trying to say it, but the race card has been played so much now that like nobody fucking cares. Nobody fucking cares anymore. Nobody gives a shit about the race card anymore. It's so over fucking played because it just got overplayed. And the thing is like everybody said, stop doing this. None of you. Well, it makes sense. Nobody ever read the story "The Boy Who Cried Wolf" because we live in a illiterate society. So of course they don't know that story. But the problem is when everything is racist, nothing is racist. Do you understand that? Do you understand that this oversaturation of the market, everything can't be racist? You know what I mean? Like when everything is racist, nothing is racist. And DK Metcalf just trying to, he used the N-word, and it's like, well, did he though? Did he, or are you just trying to use it as the scapegoat so that you, the multi-million-dollar athlete, can go, I was the victim, poor me, oh, poor me, have sympathy on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man, I don't know. The statements were false and reckless. Plaintiff Kennedy did not call defendant Metcalf the N-word, did not call defendant Metcalf's mother a "see you next Tuesday," and did not ever use any racial slurs or hate speech whatsoever. Even if he hated it, doesn't mean it's hate speech. Defendant Metcalf provided false information to defendant Johnson about what plaintiff Kennedy allegedly said, thereby instigating and authorizing the publication of the defamatory and reckless statements which were intended to harm plaintiff Kennedy. I mean, you know, I guess that's where defamation could come into play, you know. If the statements are indeed false and he deliberately did this, allowing one of the biggest podcasts in the U.S. to just kind of go out and frivolously try and destroy. And this is kind of the whole problem with cancel culture, man. We see it time and time again, dude. That, like, you know, It'll fucking ruin people's lives, man. You know what I'm saying? And look, man, if he didn't say nothing, then yeah, you're gonna have to pay the dude, you know. But if he did, look, if he did say something, now the videos that I've kind of seen, I don't really see or hear anything, but you know, I wasn't there, so I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm so sick of this shit, dude. Look, you want to know what it really is, dude? You know, like, I don't care. I just don't care. I just don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't fucking care. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's all ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous that we live in a society where it's socially acceptable for grown men, one being a professional athlete and one being a fan, to get into a physical altercation over possible, even if he did, even or if he didn't, the fact that you're fighting over words is pathetic. Grow a fucking pair of nuts. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that society has gotten to a point where, one, we go, yeah, that makes sense. That's normal. And two, as soon as it happened, I know I'm not the only motherfucker that did it that was just like, oh, he's going to get paid. Oh, that's a big old lawsuit. Like, you know that there was a million attorneys across the United States that were like, oh, hey, buddy, my name's Jimmy McGill, and I would love to represent you in this lawsuit. We will sue DK Metcalf, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Ford Field, the Detroit Lions, Chad Johnson, Shannon Sharp, the fucking mailman that delivered your mail. You know what I'm saying? We'll go after everybody, baby. You know what I'm saying, dude? Everybody call. And I hate that we are in a society, because really what it comes down to is the whole, you know, holding higher standards. It harkens back to the first time that I was a kid, and I remember doing the math in my head. I'm not good at math, but I was just like, I looked at the pool, and the pool said 3 foot deep, and I was taller than 3 feet, and on the side of the pool it said no diving, and I was confused because duh. Of course. You're taller than the water. Duh. But we're in a society where people have done that. And then they sued and won money because everybody just goes, fucking sue them, baby. You know what I'm saying, dude? Like, I can't stand all of it. The whole thing. The interaction, the actions afterwards, the lawsuits, it's all stupid. It's all lame. And I'm just over it. I'm over it. Boom, we're over it. And on to the next story, cuz it's just so lame. How do y'all feel about this? Am I off base here, Mad Hatter Nation? Nice way to say he lied. Yeah, dude. What's up, Jody? How you doing, sister? Yeah, exactly. Here's your check. Now go away. What's up, Dad? How you doing? Francis Muldoon's in the chat. Shouldn't you be at work? Whether he did or didn't is of no consequence to him. He's already had to pay the price. Yeah, exactly, dude. We live in a disgusting litigious society. 100%, Jody. 100%. And that's like what's so fucking annoying. Is that like we all watched it, and I bet you there was 10,000 people at Ford Field that just went, damn, he's gonna get paid. Oh shit, why couldn't that be me? You know what I'm saying? Like you know he's gonna get paid, and they're suing everybody for $100 million. Okay, he'll walk away with $20 million. That, as far as I'm concerned, if I had $20 million, I would do whatever the fuck I wanted. That's called fuck you money. That's what that's called. Even after taxes, you can live an incredibly comfortable life if you invest it wisely on the, like, what, 9 million you'd walk away with even after. And when I say 20 mil, I mean 20 million after he pays attorneys and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's walking out of there with $20 million for sure. For sure. Sue the deepest pockets, exactly. I feel like that fan hit the jackpot. Yeah, Derek, that's exactly it, dude. We all seen it, dude. We all seen it, and we're all just like, oh, he getting paid. Oh, he found Lucky's a pot of gold. You know what I'm saying? We're like, there he goes. All right, guys, let's get on to talking about the Lions. Hey, babe, if you're listening, I approve of this coffee. It is good. It's not bad. We've been trying to find a new coffee for me, and I don't know what kind this is, but this is good. I like this. I do believe that this is the Frederick Select French Roast. I think I want to say it's good. I always enjoyed a good French roast growing up. You see, the problem was like I had to eliminate so much stuff out of my diet because like things were fucking me up so bad, and like the dark coffee was one of them that seemed to be causing a lot of indigestion. Right? Yeah, it had nothing to do with the trash can diet that I was consuming, just the absolute slop that I was packing into the garbage can. You know what I'm saying? And then piling fucking dark roast. Oh, no. Yeah, come to find out. Oh, your boy can drink dark roast coffee. It's just don't pile a bunch of shit into it all day long. Eat like a normal fucking human being, not a gluttonous slob. And you can enjoy the finer things in life without having your guts be all fucked up. By that standard, we should all be able to sue Dearborn for lots of things. Yeah, dude. There you go, Jack. There you go. Hell yeah, I can't even buy a house for that in SoCal. Yeah, dude, Derek, dude, that the housing thing is a whole other fucking dude. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this around so that I can eventually buy a home. That's the joke that I tell Hat and Boobs every time that we talk about, you know, fucking paying off debts and trying to get ahead and buy a house. Is I always just go, well, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That's the only way. That seems to be the only way we're gonna make it out of this hole. Just shitting in one hand and wishing in the other. Over here at SI, Vito, what did you got for me, Vito? One schematic change the Lions defense can make in 2026. What can we do? Well, for starters, I don't believe old Anal Zone's going to be back, so you might as well just go ahead and put the old kibosh on Alex Anal Zone returning and get ready for the Malcolm Rodriguez experience. Oh, let's go. I can't wait for it. Actually, I've been very high on Malcolm Rodriguez. There will be a drop off, but if we do what's encouraged in this article, look, what we need to do is get the best players on the field, and if that means that we switch up to more of a hybrid nickel, what we see a lot of teams doing in the NFL now, I think that might be the way to go. This year specifically. This isn't anything against Alex Anzalone. I jokingly will call him Anal Zone, but I don't mean to. Alex Anzalone has done a lot for the Detroit Lions organization. Oh, dude. You guys aren't going to believe this. No, it's way too early. It's my eyes playing tricks on me. It looks like the very tips of the branches on the tree outside my window are getting a little bit of a rounded tip to them all, which is an indicator of the spring coming. But apparently the rodent's seen his butthole, and we're supposed to have a longer winter. But I don't know about all that. So what we did see this year was the actual drop-off of Alex Anzalone. Not athletic enough to be able to play where he was 2 years ago, which led to a few deficiencies, a little bit more lapse in coverage. It's not just all on him. There is infinite injuries, schemes, Calvin Shepard's first year, blah, 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 blah. But the fact of the matter is we do need to get a little bit more athletic on defense, right? It wouldn't hurt the Lions to consider tweaking their defensive scheme in 2026 after finishing 7th in points against. In Aaron Glenn's final season as defensive coordinator in 24, the Lions dipped to 22nd in the league this past season. That's far from a recipe for success, especially for a team with serious Super Bowl aspirations. Now, let us just look at how tight of a narrow of a window between 7 and 22 is, okay? When we were 7th in the league, we were giving up 20.1 points per game. We then dipped to 22nd in the league by giving up 24.3 points a game. Yes, that is a possession and a half, really. I mean, you need to score a touchdown. We'll call it a full possession change, but that is a 4.2 or a 3.2 point swing, right? So not that much of a window to go from 7 to 22. It sounds worse than it really is on paper. And again, the defensive slippage this year, there are all kinds of excuses that we can use. Normally, excuses are like assholes, but when there is a laundry list of things you can point to, they don't start to necessarily become cope, as it is just the reality of the situation. Subsequently, Kelvin Shepard will be entering his second season leading the Lions defense, and he should strongly consider utilizing a 4-3 base less often next season. Detroit leaned into its base defense more than any team in the league last season, playing 4 defensive linemen and 3 linebackers on the majority of its snaps, per True Media. The Lions' 4-3 usage rate of 60% was top in NFL, accounting for 630 of their 1,050 defensive snaps. In stark contrast, the league average was 12.8%. Now, there's a lot that goes into that. Again, most of it is going to be the injuries. We just didn't have the bodies to go out there and deploy. If your best road to victory was to run a base 4-3 defense and not have a lot of, we had the Legion of Whom back there for a while, right? We didn't have a lot of high caliber secondary players that could be interchanged, rotating in and out, and understood schematic adjustments week to week to week. We were playing, bodies out there at one point, dude. Now, that being said, in today's NFL, unless you're going up against a real run-heavy team, you're not going to have the athleticism with linebackers unless one of your linebackers is freaking Isaiah Simmons, just this DB turned linebacker, this insane speed guy. You're not going to be able to keep up with the skilled position players. And we've seen our defense regularly looking slower, out of pace, trying to be physical when we needed to be smart and have speed on our side. I didn't mean for all of those words to rhyme, but they all kind of did. I would encourage us to get out of the 4-3 defense. You guys, when we say 4-3 defense, I do hope that everybody understands 4-3 defense is going to be 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, 2 corners, and 2 safeties, or 4 defensive backs in some capacity, not necessarily designated corners or safeties, but 4 DBs, 3 linebackers, and 4 down linemen. Does that make sense? That way you get to your 11 players. Okay, that was a 4-3 defense. So what we're encouraging us to do is get out of that. Maybe a 3-3 nickel set or a 4-2 nickel, something along those lines, where you're I've never been wild about a 3-4 defense or even a 3-3 nickel. It's not something I've been real high on. While that approach aligns with Dan Campbell's physical identity and worked reasonably well in stretches, it increasingly puts the defense in less than optimal situations against today's pass-heavy offenses. The league has evolved, and the Lions need to evolve with it if they want to get back to being a top 10 unit. I'll give you a top 10 unit. Detroit's insistence on keeping 3 linebackers on the field made their defense sturdier against the run, but it also created a disadvantage against motion-heavy, tempo-based attacks, which we've seen, especially with your, I don't want to say young quarterbacks. I don't think Jordan Love's really young per se anymore, but guys like Jordan Love, Caleb Williams, everything is a little bit more based on tempo and timing, and if they can just keep gassing you up, bang, 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 bang. Look at the Giants, dude. Look at what Mike Kafka did with his timing-based everything. It was like a well-oiled machine just lubed up and pounding us, Jameis Winston, with a touchdown catch. Yeah, Jameis Winston with a touchdown catch. That only happens when you have people misaligned. Derek Barnes was trying to come out of his coverage to go and make a play because we were just so piss poorly aligned because we just didn't have the bodies. The solution isn't abandoning toughness or becoming a finesse-driven either. Instead, it's redefining how that toughness shows up. Instead of asking traditional linebackers to survive in space, the Lions should prioritize finding a true impact nickel corner. This is a defender Shepard's unit could deploy as a hybrid piece, allowing nickel to replace the 4-3 as the base scheme. We had that player. Due to injuries, though, he was forced to primarily play safety until he exploded his Achilles tendon. The reality is, guys, we had the bodies to deploy at the safety position if you wanted to roll Avonte Maddox out there at the safety with Kirby Joseph healthy, right? Then you can slide Brian Branch down to the nickel where he is wildly successful, being an aggressive nose for the ball, physical, in-your-face defender, plays the nickel real well. We had that. We just didn't have the option or the ability to deploy that. Wow, that Tiger Balm is getting down into my armpit now a little bit, and that is a very interesting sensation. I'm not going to lie, guys. The top defense around the league already have units designed in this fashion. For instance, the Seabags, the Texans, the Pats, the Eagles accounted for top 4 of the top 5 scoring defenses in 25, while also accounting for 4 of the top 6 highest nickel usage rates. They got to get the speed on the field. Their nickel defenders aren't just cover guys either. They're involved against the run. They blitz and they disrupt quarterback reads, among other things, which is what Brian Branch would have done. Brian Branch would have, he's great against the run, and he is a very impactful blitzing secondary player. So this really comes down to we just didn't have the bodies. This is a very grandma wagon thing that could have been done this, or a grandma wagon conversation that we could look at this whole season. So, hopefully maybe this is the plan. Maybe Brian Branch is projected to come back. I haven't seen or heard anything about Brian Branch. Do you guys know anything about Brian Branch? I haven't heard nothing about it. Detroit needs to find a premium nickel corner. The version of the Ravens' Kyle Hamilton, the Chargers' Derwin James, who can drop in the box and play linebacker at times and impact the game in a variety of ways, not just against the pass. You mean Brian Branch. This could be the ingredient to taking Detroit's defense to the next level, and specifically returning it to a top 10 unit. Yes, that is what Brian Branch could have done. With that said, there's no guarantee that veteran linebacker Alex Anelzone, who is an impending free agent, will return to the Lions in 26 if the organization doesn't re-sign him. This could clear the way for the Lions to bring in and deploy a James-esque or Hamilton-level nickel corner. We had that with Brian Branch. With Shepard entering his second year running the defense, this is the ideal time to make the change. Year 1 was about continuity and survival. Year 2 should be about optimization. Thus, there's no doubt the Lions should line up in a 4-3 base defense much less often in 26. And also, the time has come for the organization to prioritize adding a high-impact nickel corner. And we had that with Brian Branch. Now, some could say that Amik Robertson could play that spot, but he was forced to roll to the outside due to injuries. Reed was just not healthy all season. Obviously, once he got healthy, Arnold was out. We just didn't have the bodies. And a lot of our defense revolves around, and I'm just going to keep beating this dead horse, a lot of our defense revolves around Kirby Joseph just being back there with that S on his chest, flying from one sideline to the other, erasing everyone's mistakes. That's what allows our corners to go out there and run a strong man cover out on an island with Kirby Joseph erasing mistakes. That allows our corners to jam. That allows our linebackers to play in space. That allows our defensive linemen to apply enough pressure. There is things that need to be addressed, though. Bringing in a nickel corner, it sucks because the reality is, statistically speaking, Brian Branch is not going to be able to come back from this ruptured Achilles. Let's be honest, guys. If there's one player that could do it based on age, work ethic, and pedigree, athletic pedigree, mental fortitude, it would be Brian Branch, right? But that's no guarantee. So I can sit here and say we got this guy in house already. It's the B32. You know what I'm saying? Do we go to the draft or do we look at free agents, guys? Because I do think that moving on from the 4-3 base defense, you do need to, I think it is time to kind of, as much of being a trend-setting team in the NFL as Dan Campbell has been with the run game, with the grittiness, with the going for it on fourth down, hopefully continuing the trend with the dual offensive coordinators. Does Dan Campbell buck with his trend and follow suit with the rest of the NFL and encourage Calvin Shepard to start to deploy a more faster defensive mentality. Obviously, Jack Campbell, all pro, first team or first team all pro, Pro Bowl. That's the word I was looking for whatever that matters. Can do a lot. Derek Barnes, although will forever have that bad, ugly play where he got ran over by Jameis Winston. I thought Derek Barnes played a lot better than what I was giving him credit for. If you look at his actual productivity when on the field, Anzalone's Anzalone, but he's sliding back, dude. And there's no reason to spend money on him when you have guys in house that can play that role, especially if that role is going to be even more reduced to a hybrid, more of a nickel formation. It makes no sense. It just makes no sense to spend the money. You got Rodriguez. You could always go after a linebacker in the draft, maybe get a little bit younger in the room. Go the 4th round ish, somewhere around there. I don't know, man. There's a lot to be done. I think that our defense will look a lot better when you add Keldrick Folk to the mix at 17. That is the guy that I am so high on Keldrick Folk right now. Do we know anything about Keldrick Folk that I should not be so high on him? Is he a slappy or something? Rodriguez can be good and cheap. Hell yeah, he can, Gun Guy. Shout out, Gun Guy. Good morning, brother. Good to see you, man. Josh Pascal will save our defense. Yes! Yes! Josh Butt Smell. Let us all relish in the fact that I totally one-time turned Josh Pascal into an all-pro defensive end in Madden. He's actually really good. If you take Josh Pascal and play him as your 3rd down defensive tackle or even put him in as your defensive tackle, he crushes it at the D-tackle spot. By the standard, we should all be able to... Yep, I already read that. My bad, guys. Sorry about that, fellas. All right, onward and upward, sailing high into the wild blue yonder, flying high into the wild blue yonder, my bad. So we're talking defense. To continue talking defensive adjustments, some guys can be made to be projected as potential free agent acquisitions. Now, I really think that if you want to go after a defensive end that fits the mold of what Brad Holmes is looking for, it opposite Aiden Hutchinson. And when I say that, you think of Michael Brockers, you think of Marcus Davenport, you think of Zadarius Smith. Not your speed rushing ends, right? Physical, big body guys that can set the line of scrimmage and hold up well against the run. Typically, it tends to be what I call a heavy end or a book end, bigger body, wider frame, what some might call a undersized defensive tackle. If there's one guy in free agency that really hits all of those marks and is coming off a relatively high productive season, you look at Denver's John Franklin Myers, right? 29-year-old veteran, 6'6", like 290 pounds, he's coming off a 7.5 sack season. Not flashy, not sexy, but does exactly what you do. Or does exactly what you want him to do. Set the end and collapse the pocket down around him. And doesn't come with a regular injury pedigree like a Marcus Davenport does. Now, in that same vein, you then also draft a guy who's a similar build to him, like a Keldrick Folk. However, if you don't go that route, this then allows you to have a guy that can play all 3 downs at the defensive end spot for a year, while you still then go next year in the draft for your high-flying defensive end or whatever. This allows a little bit more ability and flexibility. Not too many people are talking about John Franklin Myers so much because I don't think people see him as quite a scheme fit, where if you look at the body of work that Brad Holmes wants in that position, John Franklin Myers really fits that, though. However, in this article, and this is we'll talk about a guy who I've seen this name kicked around quite a bit, and that is Kwity Paye, because he played with Hutch in college over at Michigan, and he's flashy, you know what I'm saying? But I don't think he does what Brad Holmes wants out of that opposite defensive end, that big body, that bookend, Getting closer to the combine, so let's answer some questions to pass the time. Appreciate it, Mike Payton. First question: with the increase of cap across the league and rollover and probable restructuring with Lions free agents will prioritize to bring back, please say Alex. I'm sorry, I'm not going to say Alex Anzalone. I don't see a return happening here. Neither do I. The Lions appear to want to get younger at that position with Action Jack Campbell, Derek Barnes, and Malcolm Rodriguez, the old cowboy. I wouldn't be shocked if they drafted a linebacker in this year's draft to join them, especially if David Bailey somehow slides all the way down to 17. Oh, woohoo! Look out. The Lions don't really have a huge star out there they need to make sure comes back, but I do believe they prioritize bringing back Al-Qadim Muhammad. I still think the Lions go out and find their next big thing at edge, but having strong depth goes a long way. A guy who can get 11.5 sacks coming off the bench can only help. I understand that, and shout out American Boxer if you're listening, dude. I know you're a big Al-Qadim Muhammad fan. I am too for what he does. I am not a big enough Al-Qadim Muhammad fan to pay him $14 million over 2 years. I am more than happy to pay him $9 million over 2 years, or 9 over 3, or 9 over 3 with the last year being void. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to pay Al-Qadim Muhammad. The problem is Al-Qadim Muhammad has earned the right to be enticed by the bag of other teams. Okay, 11.5 sacks, age 30 season, never really had it. He flashed, and he deserves to at least entertain generational wealth, get a few extra milli, dude, because the reality is it's not gonna be a long-term thing for you, dude. Couple 2 years and you're probably done in the league, dude. So you might as well get your bag while you can. I just don't think the Lions should prioritize spending the money on Al-Qadim Muhammad when there will be a plethora of free agents. There is the draft still to happen. But if he wants to do it on a very team-friendly deal, that is an avenue that I am willing to consider. But again, it comes down to what does he want to do? You know, because he's earned the right. He earned it to go out and get that bag. I just don't think the Lions should spend the money on that guy, you know, but Brad Holmes is going to do what Brad Holmes do. 4 options to replace David Montgomery. Just in case Monty doesn't stay in Detroit for whatever reason, would the Lions replace him in free agency or the draft? And could you name 2 free agents and 2 rookies? Come on now, I don't want to. There we go. 2 to replace Monty. And this is why I like Mike the Slipper Payton, dude. I think the addition of Drew Petzing really lends itself to Monty staying, but if he doesn't, the draft probably is the way to go here. I like Penn State's Katron Allen in the draft the most. His comp is David Montgomery. He plays a similar style of football, but he might be better at pass protection, and he might be better in the receiving game too. He's also younger, and doesn't come with a catastrophic knee injury a year ago. In terms of free agents, Brian Robinson Jr., I do like that name. Tyler Algier, I do like Tyler Algier as well, are 2 guys who run the ball similar ways to Monty, but I really do see Monty staying at this point. And if he doesn't, the draft is the way to go. I actually think that the Drew Petzing and Mike Kafka signing is a clear-cut indicator based on what Brad Holmes said. What can you do with what we have? You know what I'm saying? Meaning we're not changing anything up. The guys in-house are the guys in-house. The skilled position guys are who we're rolling with next year. These are the guys. We have the bodies here. We just need to sharpen our offensive line a little bit and polish up the defense, and we're right back in the fight. We are right back in the fight. We were a plus 500 team this year. Don't get it twisted. We did not have a losing season. It's just a couple of tweaks. Though Brian Robinson Jr., I think you could probably get on the cheap if we do have to go this route. Tyler Algier, I think will get a little bit more money. I think he's a guy who is viewed more as a solid number 1 running back. And you're going to be competing with dollary dues for teams, probably like Houston. Tennessee might take a swing on a guy like him to kind of complement a Tony Pollard. But, I think you go the draft just to keep it cheap. Obviously, we know that Jahmyr Gibbs can kind of be your workhorse running back. The reality is, I don't expect David Montgomery to go either. I think the Drew Petzing signing is a clear-cut indicator that we're rolling with who we got. If anything, let's bring in a fullback. Let's swing the hammer over to fullback or put Giovanni Manu in at fullback. Let's go. Most realistic free agent I see the Lions adding. I know most fans are kind of in the spot. Geez Louise. Where they think Brad Holmes is never going to spend money. And to a point, they're right. He's probably not going to go out and sign the most expensive guy this year. But I do think he gets much more involved this year. I've got 2 guys whom I can see the Lions realistically going after. The first is Colts edge Kwity Paye. Reuniting him with Hutch would be a big help for this defensive line. They won't have to pay a crazy amount of money to get get it done either. A 3-year deal with $53 million is very doable for the Lions. No. I'm not paying that kind of money. I'm not. No, man. No. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man. No. Hell no. Hell no. I ain't paying no $53 million over 3 years. Get fucked, dude. I could get 3 guys in the draft for that kind of money. No. I'm not paying that kind of money. Get it out of your head. Another guy is the Panthers center, Cade Mays. Sneaky play right here. I know the fans want Tyler Linderbaum or Connor McGovern, and we all can shit in one hand and wish in the other. Neither one of those is going to happen, right? Your best bet. I didn't realize that Cade Mays was going to be a free agent, but if you want to go the free agent route for center, Mays, Frodeholt, there are bodies out there. Again, I'm always going to be beating the war drum to make a play at JPJ. Johnson Piers Jackson, the center out there in Oakland or in Vegas. Jackson Powers Johnson. Or you guys know me, I want to go in the draft. Now, shout out Jake Slaughter. Yeah, Jake Slaughter. Probably going to end up in the first round, though, the way he's climbing up the draft boards. But Cade Mays is a real sneaky play. Mays should be there. While he's not an elite level center right now, he's a good level center and is still just 26 years old. Yeah, very young guy. The Lions could get some years out of him. By the way, he hasn't allowed a sack in 2 years in Carolina. Let that just kind of marinate, Now go ahead and slow cook it a little bit, right? Now chop it on up, slice it on up, however you want to do it. Okay, should just shred. Yep, there you go. Now go ahead and masticate it a little bit. Now we're digesting the thought. Yes, Cade Mays. Yes, this is a very sneaky play that I think we should further investigate as we get closer to the free agency period. Might be a smart move for the Detroit Lions to go. Who's going to be helped and who's going to be hurt by Drew Petzing? The easy answer here is Jahmyr Gibbs. Petzing is a run-first guy. And he's going to have some fun concepts that allow for Gibbs to get in space and do the most damage he can. On the hurt side, I would say Isaac Tisla. I'm not saying he's going to be hurt necessarily, but I am saying that the Petzing runs a system that favors tight ends a little more. So you can see the Lions adding tight ends this offseason and utilizing those guys a little more than Tisla. That is, unless Petzing works to carve out a spot for him in this offense where he can do some damage. Which would be in the red zone and on chunk plays. We did see he's kind of a splash guy. One with the Lions here from Petzing. The Lions don't do the press conference thing that a lot of other teams do for the coordinators. We will get our first chance to talk to Petzing at the NFL Combine at the end of February. He'll sit down with us for about 20 minutes, and he'll pick our brain. And we'll pick his brain. Yeah, and he'll pick the reporter's brain. So what do you think we should do? I wouldn't be surprised if we sat down with Mike Kafka there as well. We'll have the full reports later that day on everything that we learned. So some things and some stuff, guys. How do you feel? Mad Hatter Nation, let's talk about the free agents here that were mentioned. Kwity Paye is a sexy pick. When has Brad Holmes ever made the sexy move? So I'm telling you, dude, John Franklin Myers, it's not sexy, but it's what you need. The Cade Mays, huh? Let's look up Cade Mays. There we go. 6'6", 325 pounds. That's a big lord. Lordy, that's a big boy. Played in Tennessee. Come on, get out of here. Any news on him? No news on him. Let's see about his bio. He was a 6th-round pick back in 2022. From Tennessee, he's 4-year pro. That's it. This is the guy. Absolutely no flash. There you go. Cade Mays is the center that I'm high on now. Us going after. I play too much Madden, so that's why I'm really high on him. I don't really feel like reading this last article today, guys. It's been kind of a boring show, and I don't really feel like boring you guys anymore. If I'm being honest, we'll just chat it up a little bit, see how you guys are doing. Will anyone else pay AQ him what he's asking for? American Boxer, that's a good question, and that seems that has yet. We'll see what the reality is. I do think he has earned the right to at least ask for a higher dollar value than what he may have been projected to get, this time last year. But will people pay him? He is on the wrong side of 30, which is why if there is a team-friendly deal out there for him to stay in Detroit, you bring him back just for continuity. It is nice to have an 11.5 sack guy coming off the bench, even if that number drops coming off the bench from an 11.5 sack to like 6.5 next year, but he's playing in a pass rush specialist limited rotationary role. It's still going to be beneficial to us, but it's got to be about the dollars, AJ Halsey, ball hawking safety from LSU, would be a great fit. Did Roar the Lions? Yeah, dude. I have seen a little bit about AJ Halsey a little bit, dude. Well, anyone else? I read that. Isn't Vaki a running back? Gun guy, Vaki is a running back, but he is a special teams guy, man. I would rather Jacob Sailors be shouldering the load than Sione Vaki. It's nothing against him as a player. He's just not a workhorse running back in the NFL. He's a middle of the game and everybody's hurt. Well, you got to deploy Sione Vaki. Also, he's a special teams phenom. He's just a ball player. He's just an absolute ball player, but doesn't do the running back thing at a high enough level, in my book, to justify him being, your workhorse running back. I'd rather lean on Sailors at that point, Mike Washington Jr. from Arkansas runs like a Monty clone, can also catch. Nice. Excuse me. Nice. I just don't see Monty going anywhere, guys. It'd be retarded to not utilize Tesla. Hell yeah, American Boxer. It sure would, dude. And I think that Kafka and Lil Spud there, I think they're perfectly capable of figuring out ways to get guys the ball. I think that what you're going to see is 2 is better than 1. You're going to have 2 very unique minds designing plays, and what you can see is no one guy having to shoulder all of the load. You're going to have 2 guys designing plays, and maybe it's just like, hey, look, this week, Mike, I need you to figure out how to get JMO the ball twice in the second and third quarter. You know what I mean? I need you to have 2 plays in the second quarter and 2 plays in the third quarter, specifically designed up for JMO to get us down the field. I need 1 play in the fourth quarter that will get Tesla a touchdown in the red zone. Something like that. You know what I mean? Where it's going to be a lot easier for one guy to go, okay, I can focus on that this week, while the other guy does all of the offensive coordination. I don't know if this is the reality. I'm just spitballing and speculating. Damn it! This fucking camera, dude. See, the thing is, I don't know when it zooms in half the damn time, bro. This fucking piece of shit, man. This goddamn clanker. Pinky and the Brain will dominate. Gun guy, I'm glad you guys are kind of seeing it now. I think that Pinky and the Brain, it really is going to be the way that teams address the NFL. With all of the information, the speed of the game, the data points that are available, it just makes sense to have 2 minds working on it, doesn't it? And not for nothing, I really don't understand why we're not doing it on defense. Why not? Look, it should not be insulting to Calvin Shepard. It should be, hey, man, you did a great job. Let's go ahead and get you over that hill. We're going to alleviate some of the load by bringing in a Jim Schwartz, a guy with a extensive NFL pedigree that's like, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing a little bit less, but getting more. You're allowing them to focus on more while maintaining a high pedigree for the things that they're not focusing on. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm if I'm getting my point across per se. My brain's cooked. I'm retarded. I have a 6th grade reading level. All right, boys and girls, we have reached 10:55 in the morning. There are 17 of you guys watching. I really appreciate 19 of you guys watching. I appreciate each and every one of you who took the time to watch. Make sure that you slap like while you're here. If you could, share this around. The easiest way to, if you don't really want to admit to people that you watch the Hat and Beard Show, you can just click the share button and copy the link down on your clipboard. It counts as a share in the eyes of the algorithm. As long as one of those minds isn't No Motion Morton. Not Johnny Mo screens. No, Johnny, don't throw the screen. Like this video, share it around. Make sure that you guys are subscribed and turn that notification bell on. I do set the chat. You have to be a subscriber to chat. So, there is a very small barrier to entry, but it costs you absolutely nothing, and it means a lot to all of us here at the Hat and Beard Show, Mad Hatter Nation, all of us. If you're just hanging out, dude, feel free to engage in the chat, dude. I don't know if you guys can see it, but everyone's wondering why you're not hanging out, dude. We're waiting for you to be a part of our little island of sanity in a sea of nonsense. It is the Hat and Beard Show. We are a based AF NFL and Detroit Lions content creation station, baby. You know it. You love it. Make sure you got that notification bell turned on so you can be notified every single time we go live, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Monday through Friday. We will be back tomorrow at that exact time. Guys, have a good rest of your day. Stay out of trouble. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. I've been Hat and Beard. You've been an attentive audience. Until next time, bonga bonga. Frig off.